I just want to point out that how you deal with your treasure, be it your physical treasure, or in this case, what Christ is talking about, your spiritual treasure, we're talking about stewardship. We're talking about how you manage your physical or your spiritual life. We're going to come back to this in just a minute, but keep in mind the stewardship of treasure.
Right here, we are going to talk about the spiritual focus in Matthew 6:22 and 23.
So, verse 22, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. But if your eye be evil, your whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you be darkness, how great is that darkness?
When we look at single focus, it says it equals full of light. A single, healthy indicates a clear, undivided focus on God and spiritual matters and seeks heavenly treasures. A good example would be Adam and Eve when they were naked and not ashamed in Genesis. Physically, they only knew God at the time, and their only focus was on God and the truths that He told them. So they were full of light. Now, spiritual light leads to clarity, truth, and right relationship with God. In the garden, they had the right relationship with God in that moment. We also are more generous and recognize the needs of others when we're full of light. We're committed to one purpose and master, and let God lead and guide us when we are just full of light, when we look at what they're talking about in Matthew 6. Now, that double focus, again, thinking about Adam and Eve, happened when their eyes were open to darkness. So they went from light to now eyes open to darkness. So that can be mixed when you're focusing on both, or just being full of darkness. Divided or focused on the wrong things like earthly possessions or even sin. Spiritual darkness leads to confusion and a corrupted state of mind. Greed and selfish, not recognizing the needs of others. When you are deceived and perception is corrupted, darkness is unmeasurable and just can take over everything. I would say for me, when I really think about the double focus, the mixed area was probably the worst mental state for me, because when you're mixed both, you can get deceived quite easily. So it's best not to be mixed. You have to focus on one or the other, and it's best to focus on the single focus of the light, because once you get down to the darkness, it goes downhill. It leads to destruction.
Christ continues on here talking about the focus of the mind, and as we're going to see, our purpose. What are we focused on here? And he goes on in verse 24, no man can serve two masters. And this is what Katrina was referring to and what Christ refers to as the light and the dark. You can't serve both the light and the dark, or have one foot on each side of the fence, so to speak. For either he will hate the one, and I put that in red, and love the other, that one in green, so stop and go, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. And here mammon means sort of money, treasure, wrong, wealth, but it's an idol. God on one side and idolatry with regard to treasure on the other. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought. Here's the mind, the activity of the mind, coming back to the spiritual basis of this Sermon on the Mount. Take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, what you shall drink, nor for your body, what you shall put on. In other words, the clothing that Katrina was talking about earlier. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Now, does this mean that we don't go to a store and buy some clothes, or that we don't go to the supermarket and buy some food?
Uncover the mystery of Adam and Eve's nakedness. Unravel the ambiguous connection between the Hebrew term for naked and the serpent's subtlety. Join us for this free mini-course and gain a profound new perspective on biblical Hebrew. TheExplanation.com/naked